So let's talk for a minute about what blocks us from feeling warmth and connection with our kids. And if you think about the last week and the behaviors that you've dealt with and the moments where you loved your child but you didn't really like them very well, it's not going to be too hard for you to identify what it is that blocks you from feeling that warmth. However, it is important to understand what does get in the way of you being able to have genuine like and love flowing towards your child and having that connection with them so that you can address whatever it is that's getting in the way. We need there to be an authentic flowing of positive emotions towards your kids, and that can be hard, especially when they're behaving really poorly. I'm a mom of a child who's been very challenging, and staying in a place of authentic like has been hard, and it's been a lot of work to be able to get there. And sometimes I fall back out of that feeling of like, and I know what has happened and I know what to address so that I can get into a better place. Our kids just really do respond so much better when they feel like they are loved by us and that we aren't faking it. And they can tell when it's not real. Our kids, from the time that they're born, study our facial expressions and our body movement to assess whether they're in danger or not, whether their needs are going to get met or not. And they know micro expressions on our faces. They know when we're happy or when we're sad, when we're irritated, when we're judgmental, when we're excited. They know all of it. So they know if we are authentically feeling warmth towards them and when we don't. So we want to be aware of what's blocking us and then address it. Now, there are many things that can block us, and just be paying attention and feel what resonates with you. So first is poor behaviors. This is so high on my list of things that are hard for me to get past. Defiance, disrespect, not listening. This is a picture of my own cute baby, and this wasn't even that long ago. And in this moment, it was hard to feel warmth, but we thought we'd snap a picture anyway. Next is when our kids violate our boundaries. So we'll talk about this more in a future video, but we have personal boundaries, whether we're aware of it or not, basically rules that our body knows about how we like to be treated and how we don't. And if somebody is crossing those boundaries, the result is resentment, frustration towards our kids, and a feeling of, I don't like you and I would feel better if you weren't around. And I know that sounds kind of mean or kind of harsh, but if you're dealing with hard behavior, you've probably felt that, and you've probably felt it frequently. And that's normal, and you're okay. But that is your body saying you aren't being treated well. And when people aren't treating us well, it's really hard to like them in an authentic way. And we'll teach you how to handle that in future lessons. Next is a broken dream. I don't know how many of you got pregnant or got ready to adopt and said, wow, I really, really hope that my kid is hard. I hope that they don't listen. I hope that they're defiant. I hope that they're emotionally dysregulated. That would just be my dream family. I know that's not what I thought about when trying to add kids to my family. And we had years of infertility, and we added to our family through adoption. And I pictured joy and happiness and contentment and happy memories. And then we added a child who was defiant from the time that the sun went up to the time that the sun went down. And just the broken dream of what I wanted my family to be was hard for me to handle and hard to feel warmth and connection with my child who I felt like was the cause of the broken dreams. I have since learned differently and I feel really differently. So I just want you all to know that there is hope. Another thing that can really get in the way of us being able to feel warmth towards our kids is when fear creeps in. Fear is a really powerful emotion. It's charged with a lot of negativity, and it can zap our warmth in a heartbeat. We have thoughts going through our mind, such as what's going to happen if things stay like this? Is this what our life is going to be like? All of this conflict, all of this disobedience, all of this defiance, all of this behavior, is this what we're going to be seeing and dealing with for years? Will it be escalating? And that fear starts to build up some momentum in our heart and in our mind, and it takes over our body and shoves warmth right out. Another emotion that can zap warmth super fast is shame. Is seeing our kids' behavior and taking it as a reflection of whether we're a good parent or not, and feeling parent shame to the max. I am super familiar with the emotion of shame, and maybe you are too. Maybe it's not something that you deal with, but it is a tough feeling to feel, and looking in the mirror and thinking that you're a failure and that you're just a bad parent, and that if you were just better, things would be better than they are. And so it's all your fault. And that's a really hard feeling to feel. Next is exhaustion. I don't know about you, but I feel like I have two personalities. And there's me when I'm well rested and me when I'm exhausted. And well-rested me is a lot more positive and a lot more patient and can see the best in people. And exhausted me is short-tempered and temperamental and snippy and irritable. And it is so much harder for me to stay in a place where I like anybody when I'm exhausted. And if you've been parenting a child with poor behavior for a while, you are probably so wiped out. So pay attention. Is exhaustion something that's getting in your way of being able to have good feelings towards your kids? Do you need to figure out some way to take your parenting hat off from time to time and get to just really rest? And I know that that's so hard. I watched my sister as a single parent, full-time mom, full-time worker, trying to just make ends meet, and there really just wasn't a lot of space for her to be able to take care of herself. But she had to really figure out how she could do that so that she could get into a better place with her kids. Now, as we work to address behaviors, a lot of this is going to help take care of itself. And that's why all of these pieces have to work together in concert for it to really work well. But your exhaustion and the shame and the frustration with the behaviors will all decrease as you're dealing with fewer and fewer negative behaviors. Next thing that we see blocking parents' warmth, and we kind of touched on this with boundaries, but we see that parents will be patient with kids testing the boundaries and using little boundary violations. And they'll be patient with it and patient with it and patient with it all throughout the day. And then they are so worn out by 4 p.m. and all of their patience is gone and all of their good feelings towards their kids are gone. So if they would have been firmer with the boundaries sooner, they would have been able to stay in a place of authentic liking and warmth and connection. But they're not wanting to have to do that. It's hard to be firm with boundaries all the time. And so they're letting little things slide. But those little things are just irritating the parent and not a problem for the child. And so the parent gets into a place where they're just feeling really irritated with the child.